Hello, everybody. My stream is dedicated to the Girlfriend TV show, and the TV show is just dropped, so you can find it and 6 episodes in your disposal. So today I'm going to discuss 2 episodes of the Girl TV show. And actually, the main focus on the overprotective mother Laura. She has her son Daniel, and basically Daniel introduces his new girlfriend, but they are just discussing Daniel's new girlfriend Cherry, and Daniel's mother basically impressed how impressed Daniel is by his new girlfriend because he never like uh you know he never was affected by any of his girlfriends before, but he always has someone. And she's about to meet his girlfriend Cherry, and first impression was quite big because Cherry came off as a confident 30-year-old woman or something like this, and she basically in like this new family feels not so comfortable because she came from a different background. She didn't come from money basically, but Laura is already established gallerist who has her own gallery, and she with her husband they live the most, I would say, expensive life because they have all they need and they can even give their basically son the best life imaginable. And Daniel basically is a doctor who is about to be a trauma surgeon, and basically he introduces his girlfriend to his mother and his father, and his father is the only one who is just unconditionally, fall in love with his son's new girlfriend, and in a normal, adequate way because he sees like his son is happy right now. But Daniel's mother is not that, simple. She's trying basically to see the other side of this story. She's trying to actually just come up with your assumptions about Daniel's new girlfriend. And basically, presumably, she seems more like suspicious to Daniel's mother. And this is for a reason because basically Cherry starting to immediately integrating her personality into this new family, but her personality is something different and not quite fitting into this family because the family itself is just a rich family from London doing real estates, or like they are in charge of hotels, and specifically Daniel's father, he is a big figure in that industry. And Daniel basically himself is just in love with Cherry, and his only intention is to basically introduce his girlfriend and make her comfortable in this new family. So the only problem in first episodes came from his mother and her perception of what good girlfriend supposed to be like. or how she sees that relationship for her son, basically. But that problem basically stems into her own trauma, because her basically relationship with her husband was not quite, well, and she has her own past, and she's trying to basically reflect it on her son's relationship, because seeing her son bringing someone completely opposite, or let's say who can go against her son's desires, or who can even go against herself. So let's say Cherry is someone who can just actually go against anybody, and it doesn't matter if it's a member of this family, or if it's Daniel, or if it's his mother. And to put up with this, Daniel's mother basically trying to dig into Cherry's life to find out if she's actually hiding something, or if she is just that suspicious character in general. So basically for her is the only way to accept this new girlfriend of her son is to make it transparent about her past and about her personality, because now it seems like giving the TV show's narrative structure two different perspectives throughout the season, which is mother's perspective and her son's girlfriend's perspective. Cherry and Laura, they are the main characters, and the only perspectives we get two perspectives of two women. Actually, we never see the perspective of Daniel, for example, but it's enough, I guess, because the main rivalry is between two women. So to understand the extent of their argument and how different they are, or how they trying to fight over that man, Daniel, even though one is his mother and the other one is his girlfriend, they feel the same importance in Daniel's life and the same level of importance. And Daniel's mother basically spotted Cherry hiding the bracelets, which similar to her own bracelets, and that was basically the moment when she realized that Cherry probably stole those bracelets from her, or she has just the same bracelets. But it was already when Cherry lied basically about her flight. She took no, it was before. Yes, it was before, but she was already pretty, shady, and put herself in that spot. And basically Daniel's mother trying to find out everything about her son's new girlfriend. But TV show quite unique when we talking about the, again, narrative structure, because it's not only two different perspectives. TV show switching constantly the same events, but from two different perspectives. And one perspective is, again, Cherry's perspective, and another one is Laura's perspective. And they are trying to switch it throughout the season for us to see the same events basically, but in different, shown in different details. And Cherry, with her more ambitious and straightforward personality, showing her perspective and showing her parts in a different way and more, I would say, intense way. But Daniel's mother's perspective, a little bit more conservative and basically consists mostly of her discussions of Daniel's girlfriend and her time with her friends when she's trying to basically create her own team against Cherry, or to find out something about Cherry. And Cherry is basically met Daniel when they were just randomly on the streets of London, and Daniel basically noticed Cherry, and her appearance was specifically, catching his eye. And she was working as a realtor for a company basically that Daniel basically hired to find a new apartment for himself, or a new penthouse. And Cherry, at that point, she was about to get promotion, but that promotion basically was stolen by another coworker of hers, Pandora. So even at that point, she was already coming off as the person who's retaliating on everything. And when she feels like there is unfair decision on that promotion, she is immediately taking actions and make that coworker of hers feel that, pressure basically. And all little actions that Cherry does throughout the season, they just basically showcasing how her personality complicated. At the same time, she's just simply doing what she feels in the moment. If she feels she's gonna do that, she will do that, And basically, her life before Daniel was just with another man, and they broke up on a bad point basically. And she encountered that ex randomly in a gym, and basically that set another argument in this TV show, because her ex and his new girlfriend and Cherry and her future boyfriend Daniel, these two different parts of this TV show, but they are gonna be somehow connected. And this is first time Daniel basically came to ask for a help to basically find himself a better house. And Cherry was the replacement for her coworker Pandora, but she didn't reveal that she wasn't the realtor they agreed, and she only revealed her actual name when it was already obvious that she is of interest of Daniel, and she has something definitely, and she was basically trying to approach him not only professionally, but she was trying to basically hit on him. And she used this opportunity when she was basically showing him this apartment, this penthouse, to get some privacy, or basically to use that to her own advantage, because the apartment she was basically showing him was not suitable for Daniel, but she actually told him that he needs the other, the better, the like more suitable for him penthouse or something like this. And she only did that actually to get some moments, like some privacy. And they even just basically, they didn't really waste any time when it comes to the, establishing a relationship. In this TV show, they actually shown this prehistory of Cherry and Daniel so quick, and it was just random encountering, but for them it was enough actually to maintain this relationship and to basically introduce Cherry to Daniel's mother. So basically all the rivalry between Cherry and Daniel's mother, starting when they first came to Daniel's mother's house. But if they never did that, basically there would have been no problems for anybody. And I don't think it's necessary to introduce your girlfriend first time you met, and to try basically to introduce your girlfriend to your mother, especially when you already established by yourself, when you have your life, your career. It's not necessary. If you're not gonna live with your parents, you could have just dragged that moment out a little bit. But Daniel was so ready to basically make Cherry a part of this family. But they were basically in Daniel's mother's house, and before he introduced Cherry, they were already there, because they thought basically that they had the house for themselves. But Daniel's mother appeared unannounced, and basically she also like, she also has her own perspective on this event, because every moment, every situation shown from two different perspectives, from Cherry's and Laura's perspective. But what I noticed was that really there is a lot of differences between two different perspectives, and not only how they interpret it, but how they shot it, how they created the whole scene, and the same scene shown differently in one perspective and in another perspective. Because, for example, from perspective of Laura, the same scene could be filmed differently. And I'm not sure if it's on purpose or not, but camera work, angles, everything just different. But same dialogue, same words, but actions and what actors and actresses do can be different, but shown the same events shown, but shown completely different. And this creates like kind of unique approach of this TV show, because it's not completely just, retelling the same scene again and again, but from different perspective. It's actually different scene. It feels like you're watching an episode and you don't even realize that if it's the same scene. Actually, it feels like you didn't see that before, but then you're realizing that it's the same scene but from different perspective, because they basically filmed the same scene differently, and they filmed the same scene twice, and it wasn't like they were using same shots, same footages of the same scene to show that from different perspectives. They actually filmed twice the same scene to show that from different perspectives. And this approach is widely used recently in TV shows when you show different perspectives, but some TV shows, they just use same footages to show you, for example, the perspective of mother, the perspective of girlfriend, Cherry. And at some point it would feel like overused and ordinary, but they managed basically to come up with this approach in slightly different way. So we actually see the perspective of Cherry and filmed not completely but really differently from perspective of her boyfriend's mother. So this is why this TV show doesn't feel like you've seen something like this before. It seems more like it's quite unique and really trying to be, different from other projects. But the project that I immediately compared this to was My Fault London. And that was for a reason, because the main character, Cherry, basically, not only she looks like the main character from My Fault London, which was a woman, but she acts and she even has those, emotions expressed in similar way. She seems like the better version of that character, from My Fault London. And as much as I love My Fault London movie, I think this actress could have been better choice for that movie, My Fault London, because the way this actress plays this role is just perfectly revealing every moment in a way that not a lot of people could have pulled off, because she actually just manages to show her character as brave and straightforward woman who knows what she wants, and she came for it. She came for this boyfriend specifically, because Daniel was from rich family. She knew that basically if she, get him wrapped around her finger, if she had some kind of control over Daniel, she can basically control the whole family. And this is exactly what happens, because once she got that control over Daniel, she feels like she can basically, go face to face with his mother. And she's his mother, the only problem basically for Cherry. Cherry actually just exploits every moment with Daniel to tease his mother. Either it's just kisses or really intimate moment. She uses every moment to tease Daniel's mother. And Daniel's mother is that person who actually buying that shit. She believes that basically the moment that woman came in, from that very moment this woman came in, she is trying to tease her, and she is buying it, and she's reacting to that. So Daniel's mother is the problem herself, because she is paying too much attention to what's going on around her, but she didn't really pay attention when it comes to like her own relationship. And she herself in her own relationship wasn't really, reliable person. She cheated basically on her husband in this TV show, and multiple times we've got to see how she was basically the problem herself, and not this new girlfriend of her son's. And basically her son always had a girlfriend, but this time this girlfriend seems slightly different, and it feels like a threat for his mother, because she could replace easily the mother figure for Daniel. And this is again the moment when you're realizing that, and why not she replacing that figure of mother, because Daniel is 27-year-old man. Why would anybody in 27 being helicoptered by his mother, being overprotected by his mother? And for Cherry it feels like not completely normal that she basically spending more time with her boyfriend's parents instead of himself. And this is not normal for anybody, I guess, because you're not trying to make your loved ones' parents more close to you than your boyfriend or your girlfriend itself. You're not trying to make them a bigger part of your life than your boyfriend or your girlfriend is. And now your boyfriend's parents are biggest part of your life, and it seems quite cringe. Seems like they are trying to be your boyfriend and girlfriend, not Daniel. It seems like they are choosing her, not him. And since she came from different environment and different background, she is trying to basically make her comfortable and make Daniel, get rid of that helicopter mother. And the father is not a big of a threat, because he's just normal, calm, and not overprotecting father, but just really adequate one. And Cherry even basically trying to joke about how Daniel's mother actually pitying and, hovering over Daniel every time she feels like her boy is, hurt. But Daniel justifying it as his mother, basically, she just likes taking care of people. And I guess this is how it could have been justified in any other case, but she's not only protecting, she is basically present in every situation, every private situation, and she actually just staring at her son and his girlfriend every given chance, whether they spend it on intimacy or they just discussing something. She is everywhere, and this is the problem. Not that she is overprotecting, but that she's inserting herself in every given situation. Like, for example, they were trying basically to make this moment for themselves, like this private moment when they were staring at each other, but she immediately basically put herself in the middle of it, and that was so unnecessary. But it's not like she knew what they were doing, but she even exploited that moment to hit Cherry back, and he basically splashed her with this, water, or she triggered those to splash Cherry. But it was a little it was a little revenge from Daniel's mother, but at that point it was already too much, because nobody in his mind would have ever just, taken that so personally. But Daniel's mother already, she already has taken that personally, and she is seeing Daniel's girlfriend as someone who can potentially break this family, and who can potentially put Daniel against his own mother. And this is actually what happening, and this is actually what will cause a lot of problems for his mother and himself. But it's not like Cherry is perfect herself. She was basically a stranger. At first she was basically introduced to this family, and she could have been a little bit more conservative and less intense, but all her parts in this TV show, they were basically created to show you the contrast between the different types of love, the mother love and the, girlfriend love. Like when you have different type of love, you have basically different lives, and those lives, they cannot just blend, they cannot just mix, they cannot just coexist, and they just should be separate. So the only solution they could have found basically was to spend all holidays, spend all the time separately. But they went on this holiday to Spain, and they went together, and not only Daniel's family and his mother specifically, but his mother basically brought even her friends, and it was already too much because she doesn't seem like she knows the boundaries, and she sees the boundaries when it comes to family vacation, for example, and your friends and your own vacation. She is trying to basically mix everybody, from her friends to her son and his girlfriend, and she's trying to basically make it work. But why would it ever work? Because everybody trying basically to use this time to, his own advantage. But she wants this vacation, this holiday, to be some kind of reunion. But how it could be reunion when they just met and Daniel's girlfriend is just a new member of this family? But they already trying to make her like she was long ago presented to this family, and she was like a big part already. But actually what happened before she went to this holiday, to spend this holiday together with her boyfriend's parents, she bought a lot of clothes, and she basically not pocketed, but she spent less money on the flights, and she bought the one ticket, the cheaper a cheaper ticket and economy ticket. But Daniel basically told her to buy a business ticket, business class flight. So she basically spent the rest of the money on clothes because she was not ready to, come out with the clothes she had before. She was trying basically to fit into this family, and she spent that money on clothes instead of business class flights. And this situation itself putting like half of an argument of all the arguments in season 1 episode 1 is about why she wasn't on that business class flight. And I don't see that as a problem, since she never insisted on that business class flight, and she even told that she would prefer a cheaper one. But since she already did that, she basically made herself look like, untrustworthy, and she made herself look like that. Because why not just telling that you need that money on clothes? And she could have even, used two things at the same time. The flight, the more expensive flight, and the more expensive clothes. But she basically preferred to lie about that. And after Daniel's mother found out about that ticket, and that she basically lied about her economy flight, and Cherry basically revealed that she was basically doing that because of the clothes, and she was just trying to kind of impress this new family. and fit in, just match the level of this family, because she felt like her life before was completely different, and she was trying basically to replace all her clothes, all her like style, to match this new one, to match this life. But they immediately just realized, both of them, that they have actually not a single thing to fight for, like to fight against each other. In this family, they seem like they came to some, peace finally. But at this point, it was only the beginning, actually, because after Daniel and his mother both accepted this new girlfriend of Daniel, there like seemingly no issue anymore. But we have some basically moments when Daniel and his mother, they both feel like there is actually no difference between spending your time with your family, between holiday with your family, and between holiday with your girlfriend. And they even basically messed it up and tried to make it too much, I would say intimate, because why would everybody on earth kiss his mother like in front of his girlfriend? Why would everybody kiss his boyfriend in front of his mother like this? Not his boyfriend, but why would everybody kiss his children like this in front of his girlfriend? Just a little bit boundaries wouldn't hurt. And this is exactly what causing a lot of problems for this family, because there is no boundaries. There is like one whole family, including girlfriends of Daniel, including his mother and his father, and they all just acting like they all dating each other, And Cherry actually taking revenge on her ex-boyfriend in the most extraordinary way. She put this prank and she put blood in the cake. Basically, that cake burst and exploded with a lot of blood, and I have no idea how anybody could have pulled that off, because the prank itself is just ridiculous. But Cherry didn't realize that basically her boyfriend's mother, Laura, she was already aware of Cherry's ex, and she punched her ex in front of Daniel's mother, Laura. And that punch was basically a retaliation. But she lied about this either. She lied and she told that it wasn't basically her boyfriend. And she told basically the other story, which wasn't true. And now, like, Daniel's mother confronts Cherry with this prank, and she sees this as a threat for her son, because if she basically did it to her ex, she can potentially do something worse to her current boyfriend. And this is reasonable doubt. She could have basically gone even further. She could have basically told her ex, or she could have basically revealed it to Daniel, but instead of that, she basically preferred to put this little game against Cherry. And I would never understand why grown-up women would just prefer little games like this against a younger woman. But in real life, I think it would have been like someone just goes and tell everything to the person that involved directly in this situation. But she preferred to play these games, and by playing these games, basically she chose to further complicate her relationship with not only her son but with his girlfriend. And that was her own fault, because she could have stopped that rivalry once she realized that Daniel's girlfriend is not who she is trying to look like. And she is not like, worth spending your time on that rivalry. So if she could have been a little bit more wise, she actually would have chosen to break them up in more, adequate way. But she chose to secretly go against her son's girlfriend and to secretly spy on her, and basically to play those games behind her son's back. And this is the actual cringe situation, which you can only see in this type of TV shows, because nobody in his mind would have just done it in real life, because you have your own things to do, and to put your whole life, doing these little games, it just seems worthless. But she's herself just, I understand that she has her gallery and exhibitions. She has more time to basically put some extra drama in her life. She herself just not so busy, to ignore all the shit happening with her son. And if she basically had her personal life, if she had something to spend her time on instead of chasing her son's girlfriend, I think this rivalry and everything that happened after would never happen, because she would have just basically, she would be doing her own things. But this is probably the problem of like the character like this, because she is basically built as this strong woman who has her gallery, an artist who is in charge of that gallery, who knows exactly what she's doing, who has her friends, who has a lot of people following her, and she is liking the only one thing, basically. she has no actual like love. She has no partner that would basically satisfy her or meet her, expectations from what satisfaction is. And not satisfied in that one area, creating you basically putting extra efforts in areas that are not important in any way for you, but you see those situations as something important because you're just liking the actual important thing, and you're trying to overcompensate that thing by doing something less important, but you're trying to make that less important more important. And this way she is just justifying your actions, which is playing little games with your son's girlfriend Cherry, which is actually not important in every imaginable way when you have already your career and your life, But from Cherry's perspective, it's actually more reasonable to go against someone who is not willing to accept you and who is not willing to make you a part of something because of no actual reason for you to be doubted by someone. You feel like you need to prove that you're being mistreated, you're being misunderstood by someone, and this is your perspective. She's constantly trying to explain or understand why somebody would just not willing to accept her as she is, because she is herself a good, I would say, character who is not only like going after money, but she is trying to build her career. She has her work, and she is not just a gold digger, and she's trying to actually just make this work as as it is. She is not trying to basically use this new boyfriend with money, use him as the easiest way to get out of the life she has. She is trying to basically put himself into her life. It's not like she is trying to insert herself in his life, but it's more like she is choosing him, not he chooses her. And this creating some type of controversy when we see a woman who came from poor family, who came for completely different background. She still maintains her priorities, and she's still sticking to that plan, not falling for this man, but trying to make him fall for you. And her games in these TV shows, they rationalized and they're reasonable. They are actually on point because she has basically a choice: either stick to her previous life or go for something new. and she is trying basically to balance those two things. She's trying to go after this new opportunity. She's trying to, at the same time, keep your own career and keep your own life as it is. And this is why I put so much, time to explore this character, because the actress herself developed this character perfectly, not only showing her as a woman who is typically just on the hunt for a rich man, but she basically shown this character as someone who is trying to basically break that boundary between like two different classes and two different levels of life. She is trying to basically understand why would anybody judge you and what would anybody judge you on how you speak or how you doing your appearances. Why would anybody judge you because you just seem different? And this is the main thing about this character, Cherry. She is trying to basically break that barrier between her and this new boyfriend, because everything at first seemed as she was trying to impress, but at the same time we understand that she was trying basically to fit into this family the way she is. She wasn't trying to completely compromise her personality. She wasn't completely changing her, character to fit into this family. But she wasn't completely transparent as well. So Cherry character created a lot of complicated situations herself, but finally I would say this TV show created some type of strong, example of the good narrative shown from different perspective, and how the perspective of one character could be completely different than the other perspective. And this TV show creating the basically good, I would say, new style, because this approach widely used, but to show from different perspectives something that was filmed at the same time, to show something and to make it different and interesting, it's actually difficult, because the technique basically called as I just found it. The actual name of this technique is multiple viewpoints or parallel storyline. So this parallel storyline and how they use it in this TV show is actually different from what I've seen before. And parallel storylines, they work when you're showing the same situation, but you just coming back to a point when everything started and you showing that from another perspective of another character. And once you shown that from that perspective, you coming back to another character and you showing that from that perspective. And you can show that using the same footage, you can show that using the same scenes, literally the same material, but they shown that using different materials, even different takes, even different shots. And if you're not paying too much attention, it wouldn't be a problem because they're showing the same scene, the same moment happened at specific point, filmed completely differently, and the emotions in the words, they are even different, which is not possible if it happens only once, because in real life you can never reshoot something or remake something, but they making this as the same moment, but it's not the same moment because it was filmed twice or even more. But it's not a problem for this TV show, because if you're not paying too much attention to those details and why they are different, even though it was the same moment, it wouldn't be a problem for you. But I just noticed that and basically I understand why they did reshoot everything twice to show that different perspectives, because probably it's difficult to show the whole extent of emotions when you just focusing on one character, but there is another character who is just doing his own part and you need to focus on that character too, but you cannot do that at the same time and just monitor everything perfectly, and you cannot just capture everything at the same moment, because there is two characters and two narratives. One narrative is the girlfriend Cherry and her narrative, and the other the mother's narrative. And to make those two perfect, you need to reshoot everything, because one take it's about the mother and another it's about the girlfriend. And most probably they using, like, for example, only one crew, only one like group of people to make this scene, for example. And you cannot just split that people into two groups to create different storylines at the same time. This is why the same scenes look different, even though they were the same scenes. For example, this scene, when she was splashed with this water, it was completely different when we see this scene from perspective of Daniel's mother. And her reaction was completely different from that perspective. But what I would say when it comes to technical part of this TV show and how it was filmed, but all the other stuff like decorations and the music choice is just perfect, because the music in this TV show itself just worth watching it. The decorations and the styles of the characters and the probably design of all the houses in this TV show, it's perfectly picked and is the like huge part of the vibe this show making, you know. So that was the Girlfriend TV show, and you can find it. It's available right now. You can watch and you can, you know, make your own conclusion and see that just with your own eyes, and maybe you can just decide for yourself if it's worth watching or not. But for me, it's definitely a good one and far better than a lot of recent TV shows. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.